Hello and thank you for joining OBN Horn of Africa. This is our weekly program, Future Africa, and I'm Fantam Belete hosting this program. Today, I have a guest with me, Ambassador Abera Adeba, UN Peace Ambassador of Africa and Chief Executive Officer of AGAR Ethiopia. In this episode, we will be discussing African issues starting from the movement of independence till today. Till the end of our program, stay with us. Ambassador, thank you very much for your time and welcome to this program.
Thank you so much for inviting and hosting me to this interview.
Would you brief us AGAR Ethiopia, this achievement is in Africa, please?
AGAR Ethiopia is an organization that has been established 25 years back, which has been working on migration issue, supporting elderly people, supporting victims of human trafficking, and rehabilitating and reintegrating to the community those who have been marginalized population of the different problems. For instance, gender-based violence is the other or the one issue that has to be tackled by AGAR Ethiopia. AGAR Ethiopia is a prominent organization which has served refugees, returnees, victims of human trafficking, mentally affected, socially affected, psychologically affected, and physically affected people.
What is Ethiopia's role in promoting African unity today? Let's start from the current status of Ethiopia's role in promoting African unity of today, and then we will get back to this movement of independence in African countries.
In promoting the African unity, Ethiopia has played a great role, that including hosting the AU in Addis Ababa so that they could leverage the unity and the strengthened states in Africa to share the ideas, resources, and coming together. And they have played a diplomatic role. They have played also, Ethiopia has played a diplomatic role, again played the security issues of Africa, and engaging Africa representation in United Nations Security Council. Therefore, Ethiopia played a great role in Africa unity. So we hope that in the future, the diplomatic hub for Africa would be Ethiopia, as it was usually from the early AU foundation.
How has Ethiopia influenced African independence movements?
First of all, the being independence of Ethiopia provide Africans historical background to be independent and to the capacity to sustain their life by their own. So the cause of most of African countries to be liberated from colonialism is the support of Ethiopia that has been establishing AU and promoting the movement. The Pan-Africanism movement has been taking place because of the existence of the Ethiopia. And as you may know, Mandela was trained by Ethiopian government at the same time, then to become independent of apartheid. So we can say all African has symbolized by Ethiopia to be liberated from colonialism. So we appreciate the contribution of Ethiopia in establishing AU or OAU, formerly OAU, and then now AU, which means the idea of regionalism is enhanced and promoted in Africa nowadays, which could be the greatest remedy to African resource utilization, economic independence, and peace and security allies. So a very important role has been played by Ethiopia in different eras.
Some African countries and Ethiopia played a great role in founding OAU.
Yes, Pan-Africanism was the idea of to liberate all African from colonialism. The partition of Africa has colonized Africa in different regions of Europe. To defeat that agenda or colonialism, they have acted together and established OAU. Then this OAU helped or assisted or inspired countries under colony, and then enable them to liberate from European colonialism. Even though there are still mental colonialism in Africa that could be liberated after AU becoming consolidated as a regional power. That is the area where we are looking for in the future.
What was the main objective of founding African unity?
Initially, it was just to defeat colonialism, but through the process, they understood that economic independence will also coming to togetherness. Togetherness is the power. So I hope most of the African countries have developed different regional organizations like EGAD, like SADC, like ECOWAS, and so on. So these African regional integration brought about economic strengths in Africa, so that they could leverage in future political integration. Once political integration, economic integration, and social integration comes together, and then it would be consolidated AU that will looks like of United States or EU. EU and the United States has implemented regionalism and now become hegemonic power of their regions. And then the Africa has to struggle to continue also about to bring economic integration, political integration, and social integration, so that they could have decide their own issue by their own, because Africa has many indigenous wisdom that could be leveraged and utilized for the future of Africa.
What are Ethiopia's responsibilities as the host of the African Union?
First of all, hosting AU by itself is a very important role of Ethiopia, which is enables them to come and discuss their issues. Having the place by itself is a great contribution. Number two, Ethiopia has played a great role in African peace and security among themselves, and try to resolve many problems in the region, in Africa. And secondly, because of that, Ethiopia able to accommodate them peacefully, they could have opportunity to discuss the issues of Africa and resolve the issues of Africa, and plan to the better reintegration of economic reintegration and political reintegration to the future Africa, to build future Africa. And I hope there is a slogan that I have been shared from the last AU side event, Unstoppable Africa, in 2024 at New York. Unstoppable Africa will be emerging now because of the presence of AU and the support that has been delivered by European Union and the United States as well. United States knows that they brought about regionalism concept to the world. Therefore, they are in support of African integration. African integration will bring about a great change for future of Africa. And I hope Unstoppable Africa. I have been working for the last 12 years in migration. Most of my life I have been working in migration. More than I have served for the last 40 years, but I have served in migration area for the last 34 or 35 years, which means I have learned a lot between African migration and the European migration. When we can't speak in English very well, we African will be blamed of poor English because of poor English. When other European countries speak English, nobody will blame them that they are wrong in English. It is acceptable because of that they are white. If we go to Europe, we are considered as migrant or irregular migrant. When Europeans comes to Africa, they are tourists. So we are being colonized mentally. And for your information, if the way we dress is not African, the way we talk is not African, the way we utilize things nowadays, a concept of modernization, that is not an African. So I absolutely agree that we are mentally colonized. The way we have learned and brought up our education system by itself is designed to colonize us mentally, so that we could learn procedures and ethics to be governed by the Europeans. So all throughout my life, all education I have learned has crafted in Europe and brought up to Africa. And we utilize all that. And for the way I dress now is not Ethiopian or not African. This shows you that we are mentally colonized. So mental colonization has to be fought again, so that we could be independent African people. Indigenous thought has to be emerging. Indigenous wisdom has to be emerging. Indigenous way of doing things has to be emerging. It's good to have technology. It's good to advance in multiple languages. It's good to have cultural integration between the whole world, but we need to have independent thoughts that could leverage the better Africa for future. I don't want to make you to isolate Africa. Isolation nowadays is not possible. It has been passed in Cold War. So now the era is the era of globalization. The remedy toward this globalization is regionalism.
So, what strategies can strengthen solidarity among African nations?
Yeah, the solidarity will be strengthened whenever every one of them everyone for state believe they have to come together and create peaceful coexistence, and economic integration will enhance their development, and then the solidarity will be enhanced among neighboring countries, which will gradually enlarge it to the African continent. So strategizing the solidarity depends upon the foreign policy of individual states. When individual states believe that the peaceful coexistence with neighboring countries will benefit them, the solidarity will be enhanced, and the Africa unity would be strengthened. As you know, there are multiple actors who can act from outside to inside and from inside to outside as well. There are opposition parties in every state who fight against the current diplomatic relation and current foreign policy issues. And there are also people influencing from outside to the different states so that they couldn't coexist peacefully. So to tackle these all things, every state has to understand and craft the foreign policies that could create peaceful coexistence among themselves. This is the greatest strategy. On top of that, the economic integration started now among different parts of Africa has to be enlarged and come great, because the market in Africa is huge, the product in Africa is huge, and the only thing Africa needs to bring about from Europe is technology and knowledge. So nowadays, if they come together, they can support each other economically. Economical well-beingness will create the way for political integration.
As UN Peace Ambassador of Africa, what role have you played so far in ensuring peace and security in Africa?
I'm appointed as the Director General of UNIPGC Africa, and I'm Director General of Africa in Peace and Good Governance. So we have been doing a lot of things among Western African countries in leveraging peace and security and creating venue for peace and security among different countries. I tried to bring to our country so that we could also benefit from the peace and good governance activities that has been introduced by UNIPGC. Unfortunately, I couldn't succeed because of several reasons, but mainly because of the previous State Minister of Peace, who has been president last 3 or 6 months, I think. His name is Mr. Tai. In the future, what I'm planning is I want to create many peace ambassadors in Ethiopia. Many use peace ambassadors, not only people who have been recognized by different means, but we will train and equip the youth so that they could keep the peace and good governance in Ethiopia and beyond, so that African youth come together and build unstoppable Africa for the future of Africa.
How do Ethiopia's relations with Middle East countries impact its economy?
The relationship between Middle East and Ethiopia has been started a long history. As you know, when Muslim persecuted from Mecca, they have been hosted by Ethiopia. Since then, there are religion relationship, there are economic relationship, people-to-people relationship, and social relationship. So the current situation, the relationship between Middle East and Ethiopia will bring about great economic empowerment to Ethiopia. As you know, Ethiopia is well positioned to provide good land, to provide conducive air condition, and the environment is very attractive. When you go to Middle East is most of the lands are desert and the weather is very harshy. And when they plan to invest in Ethiopia, they will benefit a lot because they do have money to be invested in Ethiopia, so that the mutual benefit could be supporting both Ethiopia and Middle East. And I'm happy that our Prime Minister dealing with them and brought about a change. Some of the opposition party may not agree to utilize these resources, but unless you invest and utilize the resources, you can't grow the country. And so the relationship they started is very good, and it has to be strengthened for me, because if we have enough amount of money, we can invest and utilize our resources properly, and our people will be liberated from poverty. So, the way to escape from poverty is to ally with those who are economically well-being. And so Ethiopia has to keep the mutual benefit they will earn. That is very important. Otherwise, the relationship they created currently is very hopeful and great for me.
And my other question is, how might Ethiopia's BRICS Plus membership affect its foreign relations and its economy as well?
BRICS is a very great achievement, one of great achievements in terms of diplomacy for Ethiopia. At the same time, the joining BRICS have its advantage and disadvantage. The disadvantage is it will erode the relationship with United States and Europe. Basically, United States, because the BRICS will bring about decreasing the value of US dollar. And US doesn't want to devalue their US dollar because they want to stay to be a hegemonic power in the world. And this bring about not only unipolar, it will bring about bipolar. The BRICS group will ally and bring their economy together, and the money they bring about will have reasonable values to every state, then they will benefit from that. The advantage is connecting to many countries. They are, for instance, for Ethiopia, they will ally with many different countries in the world than attaching the ally with only United States. So I think the current Ethiopian diplomacy is allies not ideologically, so it is pragmatic. So therefore, Ethiopia will benefit from US at the same time also benefit from BRICS. What I saw is this one.
Ambassador, if you have any message you would like to forward, you're welcome.
I do have a message for youngsters. Young Ethiopians has to think of that they are the powerhouse of Africa to change Africa in the future. And I hope Unstoppable Africa will be for forthcoming generation. And I'm optimistic it could be achievable, because if it is achieved in Europe, where there is no natural resource, where there is no human resource, where there is no good climatic condition, why not in Africa, where there is huge human resource, where there is huge environmental condition, good climatic condition, where there is high natural resources. So I would like to urge youngsters to become a peace ambassador in the future. I will organize a training institute that could provide them training for youngsters and recognize them as a peace and security ambassadors throughout Ethiopia and also beyond in Africa.
Ambassador Abera Adeba, UN Peace Ambassador of Africa and Chief Executive Officer of Abera Ethiopia, thank you very much for your precious time and insights.
Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, I hope you have got something special from our today's discussion. Thank you for watching this program and stay connected with other programs of OBN Horn of Africa.